Like all the products, the water bottle we are discussing in our agent based modeling of the marketing dynamics, it also has some finite life. And that means that after some time, the user discards the water bottle and a user might think of purchasing a new one. So in this video, we are going to add product discard to our model. The first thing is the disclaimer about the material of these tutorials and the software that we are using, AnyLogic PLE. So let's suppose that the smart water bottle, it has a life of 6 months. So what happens after 6 months? That the user discards the smart water bottle and the user returns back to the potential user state. And when the user is in the potential user state, the potential user might or might not buy that product. So for the time being, we consider that when the product gets discarded, the user reverts to the potential user state. So uh, we will add another parameter here. We will call it discard time, and this parameter has it's of the type time. It has units, months, and it has a fixed value of 6 months. And then we will draw a transition from the user to the potential user, and this transition will be a timeout type of transition. We will call it discard, and the timeout will be the discard time that we have just defined earlier. So this is how we can add the product discard. So let's switch to the AnyLogic and see how it's actually done. So this is our AnyLogic, and I have already copied the steps that we just discussed, and let's implement them. So just a brief recap. If you see if you have a look at the on the left hand side, this is the our project. This is basically phase 6. It has a main diagram which is open right now, and it also has a consumer diagram which we can open it by double clicking on the consumer icon. So this is the consumer diagram in which we have already made some state chart and we have already defined some parameters in it. So for the sake of convenience, I'll copy these steps and copy these steps in the consumer diagram. So the first thing is we have to add a parameter here. Now I want to emphasize one thing here, because we are doing agent based modeling. So that's why we are defining this parameter discard time in the consumer diagram. We can also define it in the main diagram, but right now we are just following the paradigm of agent based modeling. We are defining it in the consumer diagram. Otherwise, you have to remember that this is a global variable, rather global parameter, and it is used by all the agents. So we could have defined it in the main diagram as well, but for right now we are defining it in the consumer diagram. So go to the palette. In the palette there is an agent library, and if you click on the agent library, you will find the option of adding a parameter. Select this parameter and drag it on the canvas. So, and on the right hand side you will see the properties of this parameter. So we will call it discard time, and it is of type time, and the units are the months, and let's give it a default value of 6. So this is step 1, easy. Now let's add a transition, and as I discussed earlier, what happens when a user uh, discards the product, the user returns back to the potential user state. So for that, go to the state charts, and here there is a transition library, sorry, transition option. So I discussed in my previous videos as well that if you hover your mouse on these icons, then you will see the number of name of the libraries which are available to you. So go to the state chart library and there is option of transition. So if you double click it, a pencil icon will appear here, and using this, click on the contact, click on the user box, and then from here move towards the potential user box. And this clock shows that this is the basically right now, if I, because this transition is selected, so if you look at the right hand side, there is the properties of this transition. We will call it as discard, and it is, this transition is right now triggered by timeout, and we discussed in a previous video that transition can also be triggered by a message, but right now we are using a time-based transition, so we will use the trigger of timeout, and the timeout will be the, here type in the value of the, type in the name of the parameter you just defined, discard time, and it has a unit of days, months. So that's all. Click on the show name as well, so you can see here. So you have now, by using these two simple steps, you have added a transition that is showing the product discard, and after the product discard the user is going back to a potential user state. So let's save our model and run the simulation. Okay, before running, I discussed it in the last video as well. So whatever we copy here in the consumer, it also gets copied in the main. So you can see there are like two uh, two screenshots of the steps. So because we are done with it in the consumer diagram, so I'll just delete it, and now I'll go and run this thing. And before that, let's save it and run the simulation. So this is our simulation running at the normal speed, real time speed. We can increase it, and I'll just shift to the virtual mode. So let's click this button, and you can see how the potential users are converting to the users and how the users are increasing. Previously we didn't have the discard, so this curve, it kept on rising, but right now after reaching a certain value, after, let's say, after the passing of the 6 months, the users will discard the product, and they will return back to the, they will start returning back to the potential user state, and from that state they can come back to the user state. So that's our simulation. Now we have successfully added the word of mouth, and we have also added the advertisements, and now we have also added the product discard time. So what is the effect of this thing on our simulation? So if you look at the slide, on the top is the figure on the of the, it's a graph of the market saturation when we just had word of mouth and advertisement, and below this graph it shows how the product discard affect the product adoption curve. So that's all for this video. In the next video we will add product delivery time. So thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next part, and stay tuned.